a lot of places encourage conformity. Conformity means what? What's conformity?
Doing the same as everyone else.
Doing same as everyone else. Do you guys sometimes feel that you have to conform a lot at school?
Oh, all the time.
All the time.
I feel you.
Hey, okay, so a lot of empathy here. Anybody feeling it? Anybody else who can feel that you have to conform a lot at school? No? Okay. So we have a divided house here. This is also good. Diverse opinions, good arguments, good debates, make for creative. And if everybody said the same thing, it's not fun anymore, right? Everybody believes in the same thing, says the same thing, does the same thing. Not much fun. So it's good. So conformity is usually something which does not encourage doing new things. But by conformity, I do not mean discipline. Behaving properly in class when the class is going on. Sure, everybody's to conform to the same standards, but that's a good thing. I'm talking about more like, oh, everyone is taking up a job, so I should also take up a job, right? You have to find out what you want to do. Maybe you want to start a company. Maybe you want to take up a job. Taking up a job is not a bad thing. It's a great thing. You need very good, hardworking people to run the economy. So that's a good thing too, right? But not because everyone else is doing it. Everyone else is not taking a risk. And similarly for entrepreneurship, if you think you enjoy the structure of a job the most and you love working with that structure, you just don't have to do entrepreneurship just because X, Y, and Z is doing it. You have to find out your own path, carve out your own path. So whatever is valued in a society, in a country, in a community, that flourishes. Whether it's entrepreneurship, risk-taking, and Silicon Valley is a great example. Here, entrepreneurship is valued, and that's what is flourishing. Okay, so this is some of the extrinsic motivations for you guys. Look at the amount of money people make in Silicon Valley. This is per capita personal income, and it's clearly higher than the Detroit area, much higher than the Los Angeles area. It's even higher than the New York, Chicago, DC, Boston, Philadelphia combined, right? An average of these metropolis. So this is for people who get incentivized by wealth, and you can see that there's a lot of money to make in the valley, and for the same reasons. There's a lot of people who want to invest in new ideas. There are a lot of people who want to try new products. So it's a very high energy place where you can make a lot of money too. And the success is attributed to a lot of factors. There's a little bit of the evolution of Silicon Valley as to how it evolved. To get an idea as to why you have something as exciting as an entrepreneurship bootcamp going on in Livermore, for example, versus if you go to whatever place in Arizona or Wyoming or many places in many states, you don't have a thing like this, and nobody cares about stuff like this. And it's the idea of the feedback loop. Things start with accident. Any place, sometimes they start with accident. Somebody thinks of something, they start little things, and it starts building one over the other, and then eventually becomes something big, and then it goes into a positive feedback loop. Do people know what is a positive feedback loop? Anyone can tell me what's a positive feedback loop? Okay, the usual suspects. Anyone else? Positive feedback loop. Okay. So, he has an answer. Yes.
What's good with the products and what you need to change?
Little different than what I was expecting. Yeah, there you go.
When good things happen, and because of that, more good things happen, and that comes back, and more good things happen, and that kind of builds on each other.
Right. Yeah.
It's where someone comes up with an idea, and then people get jobs with that, and then buy more things, and then they need to make more companies for those things that those people are buying from those other companies that are making those things.
Yes. So the idea is, as the kids over here were saying, good things happen. They lead to more good things. So you could say Silicon Valley was founded by some accidents, some good things which somebody started. It started attracting more talent to the valley because some good companies were there. And these people, in turn, started more new companies, which started attracting more talent, and the feedback loop goes on. It goes on till today. And that's the amazing thing about Silicon Valley. It's had a very good run, but the run is still continuing. And that's the marvelous thing. A lot of places with their golden ages, they get vanished in 50 years. 50 years of great golden age, it's gone. But Silicon Valley is still continuing, and in my opinion, will continue. Yes, you want to say something?
Do you think Silicon Valley will ever lose its magic?
It can lose its magic if people get distracted. And one thing where people get distracted is something called bling. How many of you know what bling is? Bling? Okay. Jewelry. No, not literally jewelry. The bling is flashy, commodities. And sometimes when you lose focus from the quality of work and the intrinsic motivation to do interesting, challenging, exciting work, and just focus on the extrinsic goals, which is the wealth or the recognition, sometimes you start having a downfall. So, for example, if you were to start a company and you didn't believe in the idea, you didn't care about the product, all you wanted to make money, right? That's gonna breed some interesting scenarios, and that could breed some lack of ethics, possibly. Ethics is like integrity, doing the right thing for the society and stuff like that. So bling is usually, if you look at all the golden ages, I'll name some golden ages. Athens. Who knows where Athens is? Wow, everybody knows. Wow. Okay. Let's see. Where is Athens? Somewhere from here. Where's Athens?
Athens is the capital of Greece.
Okay, it's in Greece, right? So Athens was a golden age in 200, 300 BC, right? Eventually it had a downfall. From their interesting ideas of politics and economics and whatnot, they started moving towards expanding their empire. They wanted to capture more world, and that led to the downfall. So answering that guy's question, bling or being too hungry for external things sometimes lead to the downfall of good regions and good places. So Silicon Valley can have a run for longer until the time it doesn't get too immersed in the bling, and hopefully it doesn't. So the way it evolved, Stanford. Everyone knows Stanford University? No?
Yes.
Okay. Stanford University is a university in Palo Alto, close to Palo Alto, I should say. And it was established by one of the governors of California, Stanford. His name was Leland Stanford, and he established the university. He wanted to start a university in the memory of his son, who had died at the age of 15. So he started this, and it was a blessing in disguise for this area because there were no such institutes of higher learning. There was UC Berkeley, but it was called by a different name in those days. But Stanford established it, and there was a guy called Terman, and he was the guy who said, hey, let's do a cross-pollination of industry and academia. What that means is collaboration between industry and academia. And he encouraged, as Amir Marchand was saying, Hewlett and Packard, H&P, to start HP. So these two were his students at Stanford, and he encouraged them to start HP from one of the garages. So it's very common. Silicon Valley and garage go together. If your dad or mom, they have garage space, start staking your claim. That's where your next company might start from. So garage is important. And then HP got established. There was another guy called Shockley. Anyone heard of Shockley? Okay, one hand here. That's it? Shockley, the crazy guy. The very intelligent but very mean guy. No? Okay. The Shockley was a Nobel Prize winner, And he was one of the guys who had invented the transistor. And the reason he came back to Silicon Valley is because his mom was sick. And again, see, this is an accident. Mom was sick. He was flourishing in the East Coast. He said, oh, let me come back to Palo Alto, where my mom is. And I'm going to start a lab in Palo Alto. And so that I can take care of mom, be close to my mom. And because he was a very good scientist, he recruited some talent. And he got really smart people. And again, I'm going to be careful here with the use of the word smart. And I'm going to define it for you guys. In this whole series of lectures, I'm going to break some myths. Okay? And one of the myths is the connection of smart with genetics. Okay? And let's just burst that myth because that's not true. Smart is what you become. And smart is not how you were born. Okay? Let's keep that idea because that's very important for you to understand. Each one of you can become really smart if you are not already. Okay? It's not that, oh, I was born this way, oh, I was not born smart, I have limited intelligence. None of that. None of that. Everyone can become smart. It's about practice, it's about perseverance, and it's very, very doable. Very, very doable. It feels more stylish if you feel, oh, I was a born smart guy, really sharp, but it's not the truth. The truth is, you become smart. You become smart because of many reasons. The environment you grew up in, whatever you guys were exposed to, the kind of books you read, how much hard work you did. And so a lot of smart people he got in the Shockley labs. And these smart people didn't like him. He was a mean guy, he was rude, he was not a good leader, not a good manager, this Shockley guy. So they left him. And they were called the traitorous 8. There were 8 very smart people who left him. And they started a company called Fairchild Semiconductors. And eventually, some of these guys, I named one of them Robert Noyce, he started Intel. And these are the big companies which kind of, laid the stone for the foundation of Silicon Valley. And after that, more companies formed, more talent attracted, positive feedback loop, and Silicon Valley kept growing and growing. So please take advantage of this opportunity. Please take advantage of the fact that you are in the Valley. Not everyone aspires to be an entrepreneur. Not everyone aspires to be, starting new ventures. But since you guys are here, I'm assuming you have some interest. This is the best place to be in for something like this. And you will thoroughly enjoy the mentorship offered in the Valley. Now, let's talk about the traits. Anyone heard of a word called grit? One person here. Grit. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5. Some people know what grit is. I have the definition here. Grit has been, proven by many researchers now that it's the single most factor in any success. So remember, I talked about last time that this is not only about entrepreneurship, even though it is about entrepreneurship. It's also about how we succeed. How do you become successful? And the definition of grit there is, grit is passion and perseverance for very long-term goals. Grit is having stamina. Grit is sticking with your future day in, day out. Not just for the week, not just for the month, but for years. And working really hard to make that future a reality. Grit is living life like it's a marathon, not a sprint. That's a quote by Dr. Angela Lee Duckworth, who is one of the topmost researchers on this topic, grit. So, if you leave all the traits aside and you stick with grit, you decide, I want to start this company which makes better smartphones than Apple. You have some feature in mind. You want some, holograms or whatnot, right? And you start this company. Of course, in the beginning you have to talk to a lot of people, try to get the funding, try to come up with a business plan and do all that. but people are shooing you away. They're not interested in your idea. They don't have time. They don't have, whatever money to invest in your idea. So you get a little disheartened, right? But if you have passion and perseverance for very long-term goals, will you quit? No, right? No quitting. If you believe in your idea, if you have the discernment that your idea makes sense, I'm not talking about ideas like having an underwear which can be used as a cap. No need to have grit for that. That idea does not have a lot of value, right? That's not going to change lives. That's not going to impact people, right? So, good ideas. Have the discernment to figure out, talk to your mentors, figure out what are good ideas, if your idea makes any sense, right? If you have good ideas, have the perseverance and grit to make it a reality. And I want to also talk about something very interesting called the marshmallow experiment. Who knows about the marshmallow experiment? A lot of kids know about the marshmallow experiment. Do you know what it is?
Yes, so the marshmallow experiment is this experiment. So it's like, would you have a marshmallow right now, or would you wait for a little bit more time and then you'll get another marshmallow?
So you'll get two if you wait, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, heard? Rings a bell? Okay, so marshmallow experiment says, would you rather have a marshmallow now, or maybe wait for some time and have two marshmallows later? And this is a very, very famous experiment. It is showing an example of something like self-regulation. What is self-regulation? Anybody knows what's self-regulation? Okay. What's self-regulation?
Keeping yourself on track.
Keeping yourself on track, right? An example is, you have an important exam tomorrow and your friends are going for a movie, right? And you're not prepared for the exam. You need time to prepare for it, right? So the fun aspect of your brain says, oh, it's really so much fun, this new whatever. What is that movie? Twilight sort of movie, where you have all that, vampire stuff going on. I've heard it's very popular. So that excellent vampire movie or Twilight movie versus preparing for exam, right? It sounds that the movie will be so much more fun, right? But you need to have the self-regulation to regulate yourself, regulate your behavior and say, hey, I'm going to just prepare for the exam, right? Now, in this marshmallow experiment, what happened was the researchers did this experiment. They figured out that children who were able to wait for the second marshmallow, so who waited for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and not eat the marshmallow, instead waited for the experimenter to come back and give them an additional marshmallow, they were tracked over many years, and their behavior and their performance was observed. So it was clearly shown that children who had more self-regulation, who were able to wait for the second marshmallow, showed self-regulation in a lot of other tasks as well. And eventually, they were more successful in whatever metrics you want to measure success. Success is usually measured in how well did they do in their family life, how well did they do in their career, and stuff like that. And I'm telling you that maybe today, if you did this marshmallow experiment, and maybe before knowing what is the good right thing to do, you did the first thing and you ate the marshmallow right away, right? I'm saying that self-regulation is also a quality which can be trained. You can train yourself to wait for the marshmallow, the second marshmallow. You can train yourself to not jump at the first marshmallow. And this is a quality which can be trained. This is a trait which can be trained. And this is a very important trait for a successful entrepreneur. If you can have self-regulation, it's sort of adding some control on your behavior so that you can succeed. Okay? Can someone give me examples of when they showed good self-regulation? Someone? Okay. Yes.
When my mom and my dad both go out and they trust me to do my homework and not play games. games, but to do my homework.
Okay, brilliant. So that's a very good thing. Anybody else? Yes.
Okay, when I had to say no to like the little girls that were selling Girl Scout cookies and had a lot of cookies, but then like the next week I got like boxes of Fitbits for me and my brother. So
Okay, but can you explain to me how is self-regulation? So you said no to the Girl Scout cookies because you wanted to eat the cookies a lot, but you controlled yourself, or what?
I controlled myself knowing that I'd probably get them later.
Okay. Any other examples? Yes.
When I'm doing my homework on the computer, I can hear my Hangouts notification going ding dong all the time because my friends are texting.
Right.
But then I'd rather do my homework and then have fun rather than worry about my homework later.
How funny that was happening with me when I was making these slides. I was getting a lot of ding dong on my computer, but I kept making these slides instead of answering to the ding dongs. Yes, the girl over there.
So I was doing my homework and it was a really good weather outside and everybody was playing on their scooters and stuff, but I finished my homework instead of going.
Awesome. So you guys already are self-regulated rock stars. You guys know what to do. So very good, very good. I'm really impressed that you guys already know about self-regulation. You have already been self-regulating your behavior, which is so important if you want to make it big. So important if you want to be a successful entrepreneur. Okay?
I thought the marshmallow experiment was when you take a marshmallow and put it in the vacuum and then you take all the air out and then the marshmallow grows bigger and then when you open the tube up and let air come in, then it shrinks.
That's more like a, physical science experiment. This is a psychological science experiment. This is studying how human beings behave, how children behave, and which kind of children become successful. And I can assure you, all of you can learn these skills and become very, very successful. Yes?
So then this kid who only ate one marshmallow, he could be doing this because his mom said, don't eat junk food. So he's self-regulating himself by only eating one.
Right. So I'm sure these experiments were adjusted for all these variations as to, adjusted for all these different backgrounds and what their moms have been telling them. So I'm sure that the final result has adjusted for those differences. Okay? So you already gave me some examples. Self-belief. So Katy Perry says, you're a firework, right? That's what? That's a self-belief. You have to believe that you're a lion even though you're really a cat.
I'm not.
What that means is, you can do wonderful things. You don't have to believe in what your appearance is and what the opinion of your peers are. You have to believe in yourself. You have to catch yourself challenging. If you have any self-criticism going on, oh, I cannot do, that's too hard for me. Oh, I'm too weak for this sport. You have to challenge that. You have to always catch yourself saying stuff like that. And you have to say that I can do it, okay? And see, understand please, this is not a pep talk. This is science, okay? I'm not saying just because